From the time we're kids, we're all pretty much taught the same thing, right? To be liked, you have to be, well, likable. You got to be nice, agreeable, definitely don't rock the boat. But what if that whole idea is not just wrong, but it's actually a trap that's been holding you back? Today, we're going to dig into a really powerful concept that just flips that entire script on its head.
Just let that one sink in for a second. This is the heart of what we're exploring today. That constant nagging need for approval, for everybody to like you. That's not freedom. It's a prison. A prison you build around yourself, brick by brick. And the key to breaking out, and here's the ironic part, the key to becoming genuinely charismatic is detachment. Okay, I know what you're probably thinking. Hold on, is this just an excuse to be a jerk? To just stop caring what anyone thinks? And look, that's a fair question, but the answer is a hard no. This is not about being unkind. It's about being real. And believe me, that difference is everything. So let's actually break this down, starting with something called the nice guy myth. It's this deep-seated idea that your value, your worth, is completely tied to how much other people approve of you. And that creates a very specific and honestly a pretty destructive pattern of behavior.
This isn't just some little personality quirk. It's a whole cycle. You're constantly hunting for that next hit of approval, shifting who you are just to avoid any kind of conflict. But in that process, you start to lose the one thing that actually matters, yourself.
And that leads us straight into what we call the lovability prison. Think about it. When your entire sense of self-worth hinges on what other people think of you, you're not free. You're completely trapped by their ever-changing judgments. And here's where you can really see the difference. The nice person is always playing defense, right? They're seeking approval to feel okay. They run from conflict. They hide their true self behind a mask. But the real person, they operate from a place of inner strength. They're not looking for approval, they command respect, which comes from being authentic. They don't run from conflict, they know how to handle it. And most important of all, they are not afraid to just be who they are. And make no mistake, living inside this prison comes at a huge cost. There's the constant anxiety of walking on eggshells, that feeling deep down that you're not being true to yourself, the inability to just say no, which leads to really weak boundaries. And eventually, it all boils down to resentment. Resentment for others, and maybe worse of all, resentment for yourself. So, how do you escape? What's the key to unlocking the door? Well, it's one word: detachment. This is the absolute foundation of this entire philosophy. Now, to be super clear, detachment is not about not caring. It's about not needing other people's approval to feel valid, to feel good about who you are. It's about finding that validation from inside yourself. It is, in a word, freedom. And it is so, so important to understand what detachment is not. It is not apathy. It's not a license to be rude or aggressive. And it is definitely not about building walls and isolating yourself. Actually, it's the total opposite. It's the key to forming connections that are way deeper and more genuine. This is the mantra. It all comes down to this. Your focus shifts completely, away from what do they think of me and towards who am I, really? And when you build on that foundation, it's absolutely unbreakable. And this is where it gets really interesting. Here's the beautiful paradox of it all. The moment you stop trying so desperately to be liked, you become magnetic. When you really embrace detachment, you start to radiate this whole new kind of confidence. First, you become authentic. The mask is gone, and people are instinctively drawn to someone who is real. Next, you become grounded. You're not easily shaken by a bit of praise or a bit of criticism because your stability comes from within. People can feel that quiet strength. And finally, you are free, genuinely free from the fear of being judged. And let me tell you, there is almost nothing more attractive than someone who is truly, deeply comfortable in their own skin. So you see, this new charisma, this real charisma, it's built on a rock-solid foundation of self-respect. It opens the door for genuine connections because you're not faking it anymore, and it creates this quiet, effortless confidence that doesn't need to shout. Look, this isn't some overnight fix. It's a journey. It's a conscious choice, day after day, to find your worth within yourself, not in the opinions of others. It really is your path to true freedom. So I'll just leave you with this one question to think about. Who would you be, what would you do, what would you create if you were completely and truly free from the weight of other people's opinions? Just think about that.